Woohoo. And we're back on a Halloween trick-or-treat evening. So, where did we leave off? At the trick or the treat? Yeah. Sex, politics, and crime. That was an article that I wrote. I think it was in 2000, possibly prior to that. I mean, I might not have finished it until 2000, but yeah. It's really interesting how there will be a prohibition of something that creates a black market for that item that is deemed worse than alcohol and tobacco. Yeah, so much for public health and the depravities that we have in society. And we are only as sick as our secrets. But I can tell you, as the infamous dress lady who got to go into the back doors of the strip bars and the private men's clubs. Yeah, I got to hear a lot of sick stories. And they didn't even have any child sacrifice. Although, I don't know about that either. You know, who was watching the children of those who worked in the sex trade industry? Did they have someone that they could trust or not? That's a biggie. Yeah, I have to have a flare in the back for my assets to see it. But now I'm looking at how we're going to connect it all. I mean, I was questioning down below, but we pretty well solved it. And it's just to look at it. And I know that some of this in here is a wool, so it will shrink up once it's washed. I don't think I'm gonna wash it other than spray mist it and possibly put it into a dryer to shrink it up a little bit. But just looking at what colors are next, because I have a whole bunch of puzzle pieces. How about you? Do you still have a whole bunch of puzzle pieces in your life that you're looking to put together? And how are you looking to put them together? Are you looking to do the outside rim? Or are you looking to find the center and go out? So yeah, we got started on the topic of the sex from the last video that I had done on the criminal justice system, and that was number 3 for this evening. And I had a TV show, and I had a guest on who talked about the legalization of drugs. And I'm trying to think of if I actually did. I don't think I actually did, other than mention it in passing. I don't think that I devoted one of my TV shows on sex. Although on Vimeo I do have one, let me see, Tantric. I think that was the name of it. And the guests, let me see, he's no longer with us, Swarmy, Ferrado, and his wife Daraja. She's, as far as I know, still living, but he passed away. I'm not quite sure. I think it might have possibly been 2012 or possibly, 9-10 years ago, something like that. And I didn't quite agree with what he said, and I do think I had to get up at one point in time in the interview, but that was, I think, as close to, because he got into the children, and that's where I have a I don't quite know if you want to call 18 or 21 the magical number, but it should be 18 or 21 the magical number the whole way through. If you're old enough to drink, smoke, join the army, do all that kind of good stuff, what age do you turn from a child into a man? I know that there are different, how do you say that, challenges for such in, many different cultures, and that age is, I don't know, is it a good age, or is it just a social moray? And there again, coming back to, hey Dip, how goes it? I just noticed that you joined me again this evening. The topic that I started out with at the top of the hour is sex, politics, and crime. My last video before, I was talking about one of my TV shows, and it was LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, and what would happen if, drugs were basically legal. And at the end, I think it was like 45 minutes, But anyhow, next thing you know, here comes the ad for the sex. Don't remember, who, what, whatever. And it's like, okay, I ended it. And next one, we talk about sex. So that's how we got into the sex, politics, and crime. And I still have a feeling there's a little bit more in behind that Pelosi because there's something up, something's just not adding up right with the DUI, with the late night escapades, and there is a degenerate society out there. It's all the same: sex, politics, and crime. You got it. You got it. And that's the title of the article that I wrote. Because I am I should say, infamous dress lady. I used to design clothing for entertainers. So I got to go in the back door of quite a few venues, some of which were strip bars and men's clubs. After all, that's where you go for the black lights. And I had quite a good business going in South Florida back in the late 80s and early 90s, and I had a challenging marriage, and I'll just let it at that, and I had to start over quite a few times and lost a lot quite a few times, but I have learned to bounce when I crash instead of just burning to ashes anymore. So, yeah, I was a dress lady, and let's see, when did they start getting really strict on when I guess late 90s, I would have to say. That's when a majority of the men's clubs were shut down. And the stories that the girls would tell me, and the people who came in there to act out their fantasies. And it's like, if these people do not have a place to act out their fantasies, then will they commit crimes in the public domain? And I never looked into the statistics, but I can probably say that the rise in crime, in sex-related crimes, in areas where they stopped and enforced no prostitution, yeah. Now, something comes to mind because I designed back when, and in 94, I produced a fashion show at the Limelight in Manhattan. And, I make plans and God laughs. It was one of those, and took 9 models up, and what fashion show? There's no fashion show. Where's the promoter? Can't find the promoter. We ended up putting on the fashion show, but what was supposed to be worked out for me to take orders, to sell goods, it all fell through. So I had to go take my glow-in-the-dark designs, went to a couple of the strip bars up there that I had gone to prior, sold some clothes, made enough to, boo-hoo. Damn it, here we go again. And then some of us were going back to the hotel, some of us were staying out on the town. And we met a cab driver, Sammy, and he took us on a fantastic tour of New York. And he wouldn't take any money. And I mean, I think it was a couple hours that he drove us around New York. And he was really, really a cool guy. I wish him well. Don't know whatever happened to him, but yeah, we we went to the seedy side of town. I guess that's what you call the red light district in New York, and to see the limo after limo going down these streets and alleys where the young runaways and others were left to their prey, as prey. For those rich and famous who can take a limousine and go and pick up the new one for the party scene. It's a sad situation. You know, the oldest profession, it should be legal, but it's only for the willing of those, because I'm sure that there are those who do enjoy the profession. I've met a few of them, and they enjoy what they do. And then I met some who were in the profession because of their childhood abuse, whether, it was the mental, verbal, physical, sexual abuse of childhood. I found it quite interesting at the number of gay women who found each other in strip bars, and they all had an abusive past. So I found that, and there again, I'm definitely not saying that all women in a strip bar are gay or bisexual or straight or any of the above. So it's just in my observation what I have observed. Many of them have become desensitized, and it is literally just a job to them. And those are the ones who pretty much have a choice, and that they are not forced by a pimp to work the sex trade industry, which is far different than the Oriental that I had come across in some of the Asian parlors. And as a dress lady, it is hard to get into an Asian parlor to sell your clothing, for sure. That I can tell you. But my one time that I was culture shocked is when I went into the Asian parlor in Myrtle Beach. And there were as many mattresses as there were girls, and they were lined up side by side through at least one whole room. A good 20, I mean, if you put a mattress on both sides and, run them, head to toe, two, 2x4, there had to have been at least 10. There had to be more than. Now that I think about it, they might have been doubled up on each bed. But I guess I was young and naive at that time and did not realize that they could have been part of a forced sex trade industry. And that was back when, prior to the multiple shutdowns. Trying to think exactly. I know in 2000 I was in around in there selling clothing in several of the parlors and the strip bars. And, it was still alive and flourishing in Myrtle Beach. They've tended, to shut down. Quite a lot of them have shut down, and the increase in has really gone up. And I remember I was in the DC area. I think someone had asked me to come to one of their establishments, and is that what it was? No, that was the March. Okay, that was the March, and I was the Veterans March in '97. So I did still have some of my clothing that I had designed with me. And I think I was checking into the strip bars in the area to see possibly selling some wares. That's how I financed my journeys. Some of my journeys was selling the clothing, well, whatever clothing art I designed. And yeah, someone had given me some information on the underground sex trafficking in DC. But there again, that was prior to when I was still, I guess you could say, more naive. I mean, I wasn't the white sheep. I, was probably most definitely a black sheep at that point. Definitely a black sheep at that point. But I wasn't as, well, yeah, I was young and dumb, and I'm not as wise and old as I am now. That's that thing about getting years under our feet. We tend to have as many stories as puzzle pieces, and that is the tapestry of life. And I look forward to when it is completed. It will be nice and warm. I'm sure I will have to fight my animals and keep them off of it because I can just see them burrowing a nest in there now. I have to keep an eye on them because, yeah, it's like, ooh, look at that. Oh, yeah, it's nice and warm. Yeah. And, yeah, they'll be ripping it up before I even get to wear it. So, it's kind of like those who come into the men's clubs where they just want those clothes to get taken off as quickly as possible. That's how the puppies are with fabric. Yeah, let's make a nest in it. Okay. Yeah, let's go right here. So, this is definitely one of those trick-or-treat evenings. And, of course, it was on predictions and premonitions. And as I said, this is talking about the sex. And I mentioned Pelosi at the beginning. And let's see what else comes out. What happens in twos happens in threes. So I'm sure that this is not going to be, unless of course he has someone babysitting him. And that doesn't mean that he, well, yeah, it would make it easier to get whatever swept under the rug. But, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more coming out on sick, demented people in governmental offices because they thought that they were and are above the law. But what they are going to so rudely find out is that they aren't. And that there will be some repercussions for their blatant disregard for their fellow man and their willingness to destroy society, period. And their devious profits on the disease and decay in society, whether that is through, I'm not even going to go down the long list of, because most of them are already known by the, they're already known. They're, you know, look at your movies. Your movies are telling you what's gonna happen. And, yeah, don't be surprised when, oh my god, it's not just in the movies. No, they're pre-programming you and your reaction to their planning of a pandemic. So, I don't know how many of you did see that movie, Pandemic. I know that when I was in college, almost ready to graduate with an associate in art, and I took biology, and one of the required assignments was to watch the movie of Pandemic. And the coronavirus, a bat virus that came from a live bat from China, from the wet market. So, yeah. life, art. What is that? Art mirrors fiction? Or, yeah, art mirrors, not fiction. Art mirrors life. It's not all fiction. So, anyhow, it's been interesting. It's been fun. And what do they say about sex sells? Well, at least you don't have to go to the men's clubs and the strip bars to see the clothing that I used to design. Because now it seems you can find them on any street corner and shop. Yeah, and on movie stars. So, yeah, it's interesting how life goes. It's always trying to grab that gold ring. But is it gold or is it just brass that's painted to look like it's gold? So, anyhow, it's been fun again. I'm not quite sure what topic I'll be after the next break. I'm sure I can be inspired. Oh, the thought of paranormal. Oh, we're coming up on another lunar eclipse. Oh, it's in Taurus. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, ooh, well, we were just talking about the finer things, sex being one of them, and Taurus liking finer things. Well, maybe that is an excess of things that are coming out. Ooh, well, maybe I'll just have to find Pelosi's birth date and get into learning. Is it or isn't it? So, see ya, love ya, bye. Catch ya on the next one, whichever.